All right, another little review. Command N. We're going to open up a new document. And even though we're going to print this, we're working in Illustrator. We're going to move it over to Photoshop. So all we want to do is change the width and height from pixels to inches. And our width is going to be 20 and our height is 30. And we're working in RGB. If you don't have advanced open, go ahead. We're working in RGB. Don't worry about, hey, it's screen. We're supposed to be working for print. All we're doing is laying vectors down. Hold off on all those effects that I showed you. What a horrible mistake to point you guys at that stuff. If you use them, you have to be very subtle. They can get away from you and lock up Illustrator, and the rendering time when you move anything just is painful to endure. Okay, so we have a new document. It's 20 by 30, and let's say right away we know we want this to be orange, Valhalla orange, if that's what you want. Let's click on the rectangle tool. Right now we have white with a black outline selected. So let's get rid of the stroke. Yes, not an outline, a stroke. And then double click on the fill. And Valhalla, look at those Fs. All Fs for white is FF6600. Just good old orange. And then we can get the rectangle tool, which is hiding if you have something else there. And I'm just going to click, one click, and say I want this to be 20 by 30. Okay, we're going to click OK. And then you guys will have your dimensions, your X and Y, width and height. We want the X and Y. I'm putting my registration point in the upper left-hand corner. We want the X to 0, the Y to 0, and then we want to lock that layer. We can lock this element. Let's go ahead and click away. If I hit Command 2, I have locked that. Whoops, cancel. Let's get back to, hit letter V to get my selection tool, the black arrow. Now we can't select this at all. We can't move it, and we can work on this layer. That's a good way to work, but can you remember Command 2? And the unlock all, look, Option Command 2. This is how to unlock. If that's a little tricky for you and you don't really want to do that, well, lock that layer. This is our background layer. Make a new layer and put your artwork on this new layer. Now you're working smart. And when we bring this over to Photoshop, we won't bring in this background. We can just create that in Photoshop when we create a new document and set the background to be that color, and we don't have to worry about that. We can bring in our smart objects individually and work more intelligently than bringing in the whole poster all at once, so that we're able to do some tweaks in Photoshop. More on that later. But for now, that's enough for today. I want you guys, again, work smart. When I walk around the room and we're talking and I'm watching you do stuff, please be using some of these tips and seek out good design for inspiration. I've given you guys links to a lot of things. You can't just sit down. Almost no designer sits down and starts working continuously without ever turning and looking for a little inspiration. We all have our morgue files. We all look at other examples of good design, and we're not copying or stealing or being inspired, because you have to familiarize yourself with others' work in order to work originally. One of the paradoxes of creativity: get used to it, embrace it, love it, and let's create something great for the school.